The lecture hall of the Galactic Academy hummed with the soft buzz of translation devices, a symphony of clicks, whistles, and harmonic tones blending into an artificial common tongue. Hannah sat near the back, her human frame dwarfed by the towering Krell beside her and the gelatinous mass of a Vothin 2 rows ahead. She was one of only 3 humans in the entire institution, a novelty among the 1,000 species that comprised the Galactic Coalition. Professor Zack, a Mantillion with 6 segmented legs and mandibles that clicked with every syllable, had been droning on about interstellar conflict resolution for the better part of 2 standard hours. Hannah's attention drifted between her datapad and the viewport showing the swirling nebula beyond the station's walls. Then Conks arrived. The door hissed open with more force than necessary, and the Vraxian strode in with the confidence of someone who believed the universe owed him deference. Conks was massive, even by Vraxian standards, 3 meters of corded muscle covered in midnight blue scales, with 4 arms that ended in claws capable of rending steel. His species had been warriors for millennia before the Coalition had civilized them, though many still clung to their predatory heritage. "You're late, Cadet Conks," Professor Zaxter clicked. Disapprovingly, Conks's yellow eyes swept across the room with undisguised contempt. "I had more important matters than listening to antiquated theories about peaceful resolution." His voice was a deep rumble that resonated in Hannah's chest. "My ancestors conquered 17 systems before your coalition imposed its weakness upon the galaxy." Several students shifted uncomfortably. The Vraxians had been integrated into the coalition only 50 standard years ago, after a brutal war that had cost millions of lives. The peace was still fragile, built on treaties and mutual economic dependence rather than trust. "Nevertheless," the professor continued, "you will adhere to I will adhere to nothing." Conks moved further into the room, and Hannah noticed his claws were extended, a threat display among his kind. "I came here to understand my enemies, not to be lectured by prey species about the value of surrender." The temperature in the room seemed to drop. A Filian near the front made a high-pitched distress call. The Krell beside Hannah drew its body inward, protective plates sliding into place. "Cadet Conks, I must insist." "You insist nothing." Conks's roar silenced the professor mid. "Look at all of you. Soft, weak, your coalition survives only because warriors like my people protect you, and yet you teach us to be ashamed of our strength." He spread all 4 arms wide. "Perhaps a demonstration would be more educational than your theory. Perhaps if I selected one of you fragile creatures and showed what true power looks like, you would understand why the strong should rule." His gaze swept the room like a predator selecting prey. Students cowered. The Vothin literally tried to flow under its desk. Even Professor Zaxter backed toward the wall, evolutionary instinct overriding academic authority. Hannah felt her heart hammering, but it wasn't fear that made her pulse race. It was something older, something that had been bred into humanity during its long climb from the caves to the stars. Her species had been prey once too, hunted by creatures with fangs and claws far more impressive than theirs. But somewhere along the way, humanity had learned to hunt back. She stood up. The scrape of her chair drew Conks's attention. His eyes fixed on her, and a smile revealed rows of serrated teeth. "Ah, the human. How appropriate. Your species so new to the stars. So proud of your primitive rockets and chemical weapons. Do you wish to volunteer for my lesson?" Hannah met his gaze without flinching. Around her, she heard the soft gasps of her classmates, the whispered translations of her apparent death wish. Humans were known in the Coalition, but more for their diplomacy and adaptability than for any physical prowess. They were the mediators, the bridge builders, the species that somehow got along with everyone. Most species didn't know humanity's other face. "I think," Hannah said quietly, her voice steady, "that you've misunderstood something fundamental about strength." Conks laughed, a sound like grinding stone. "And you will enlighten me, little mammal." "Your people were warriors," Hannah continued, taking a step into the aisle. "Mine still are. The difference is, we learned when to fight and when to build. You see our coalition as weakness. I see it as the ultimate expression of strength, the ability to turn enemies into allies, to choose cooperation over conquest." Conks's amusement faded. "Pretty words from prey." Hannah's smile was cold. "My species didn't reach the top of our food chain by running. Conks, we did it by being more persistent, more adaptable, and more ruthlessly efficient than anything that tried to eat us. We didn't just survive predators, we outlasted them, outhought them, and when necessary, we wiped them out." She took another step forward. The lecture hall had gone absolutely silent. "Your people conquered 17 systems with claws and teeth and warships. Impressive." Her tone made it clear it wasn't. "My people looked at the same challenges and invented nuclear weapons before. We left our homeworld, we fought to global wars that killed hundreds of millions of our own species, learned from our mistakes, and decided to be better, not weaker, better. Konks's scales rippled a sign of agitation. You threaten me? No. Hannah stopped 3 meters from him, close enough that he could strike if he chose. I'm educating you. You came here to show us what power looks like. Let me show you what it means to stand in front of a predator and refuse to bow. Every human learns this from childhood. Fear is just information. It tells you there's danger. What you do with that information defines you. She spread her arms in mockery of his earlier gesture, her small frame absurd next to his bulk. So here's your lesson, Konks. You can hurt me. You're bigger, stronger, faster. But you won't make me afraid, and you won't make me submit. And if you try, you'll learn why humanity built the coalition in the first place, because we understand that one warrior is just a bully, but a civilization of warriors who choose peace is unstoppable. For a long moment Konks stared at her. Hannah could see the calculations behind his eyes, the assessment of threat and opportunity. Then, slowly, his claws retracted. Your species, he said quietly, is more dangerous than I thought. Only when we need to be, Hannah replied. That's the point. Konks turned without another word and walked toward a seat. His earlier bravado evaporated. The room released a collective breath. Professor Zaxter's mandibles clicked rapidly, the Mantillian equivalent of nervous laughter. Well, that was ... educational. Cadet Hannah, please sit down. I believe we've had quite enough practical demonstrations for one day. As Hannah returned to her seat, she caught the eyes of her classmates. Fear had been replaced by something else: understanding, perhaps, or respect. The human species might be physically unremarkable by galactic standards, but they carried with them the fire of a world that had tried countless times to kill them. They had learned to carry that fire without letting it consume them. That, more than any weapon or warship, was what made humanity dangerous. The lesson was indeed over.